everybody, Dinky Brown here. No matter where you are and what part of the world you are in, I hope that you are having a good day. So I want to kind of talk about a serious topic, although I'm starting out pretty lighthearted, right? Just to kind of, help you relax a little bit, because this can be a touchy subject. We'll just say that. So I'm reading a statement from therapy-reviews.com, and it says women with mommy issues cannot trust other women. This is why they usually don't have female friends at all or have just a few in their circle. Women with mommy issues usually choose male company and don't easily let people in their life in general. And so in choosing male company, oftentimes they're choosing this male company as a platonic friend, like, a female, just like a female. They're not having sex with these men. This is just a platonic friendship. Could even be a homosexual male, but just somebody who is of the male gender who they can talk to and have conversations with, or even ask questions about other men that potentially they're interested in or dating. And those men may say, oh yeah, leave him alone, or maybe that's not a good idea, or yeah, you should talk to him, and things of that nature. So, we also have 5 signs of mommy issues in females. And this is coming from magnetizeyourman.com. So a lot of times, especially from my perspective, from what I've experienced, men who are insecure, they don't understand why women would have male friends, but this is one of the reasons why, right? It has nothing to do with because she's promiscuous or sexually free, whatever you want to call it. She feels like she can't get along with other women. And if a woman has that mentality that she can't trust other women, based on a law of attraction, she's going to attract those type of women that will confirm her feelings because she's feeling it. This is something that she's feeling, right? The law of attraction operates based off of our feelings. If we feel something really strongly, it becomes true in our lives, right? Number 1 is replicating your relationship with your mother repeatedly, right? Again, magnetizeyourman.com. Mommy issue number 5 is replicating your relationship with your mother. So this could look many different ways. For one, it could have looked like they were having difficulty setting boundaries. So if a woman does something to violate your trust, do you just walk away and gossip about her? Or do you actually right then and there, and this is one thing that I do my best to emphasize. Right? You can say what you are thinking or how you are feeling without getting an attitude, right? You don't have to yell and you don't have to curse, right? But you can say what you're thinking or how you feel as diplomatically as possible. You don't have to be vengeful. You don't have to be spiteful, right? You could just simply say, I didn't like that. I don't appreciate you saying that. Now, if the person is that evil and malicious, they won't care. Because in my recent, experience, I realized that some people do this intentionally and they don't care. They're only concerned with their own needs. And so they may even walk away and laugh about it, because they feel like they got one up on you because they got you to say something. But that doesn't matter. Instead of holding on to it, or again, walking away to gossip about it with somebody else, just say how you feel or what you're thinking in the moment. Now, if you feel like you would be giving somebody satisfaction that they got to you by saying something, then you'll need to find another outlet, like maybe writing it down, right? And considering where the source of this pain is coming from, which is probably a mommy issue, right? When you look at the rights psychology, Willem Reach talks about that. If you don't have the right to separate, the right to say no, to speak up, to say your truth, you have difficulty setting boundaries. I'm going to read that again. If you don't have the right to separate, the right to say no, to speak up, to speak your truth, you have difficulty setting boundaries. So you have a right to do all these things, right? You have a right to separate or distance yourself from the situation. You have a right to say no. No is a complete sentence, right? You have a right to speak up. You do have that right. And again, you don't have to be mean or malicious about it, regardless of the person's reaction, because that's a reflection on them and not you. You have a right to speak your truth and say what you're thinking or how you feel, right? This is setting boundaries. If you learn that you are an extension of your mom, this is particularly true. When you have a narcissistic mom and you are at that golden child, and you are this golden child that she projected her positive attributes through, it can be extremely hard to set boundaries without guilt, because especially if you have a narcissistic mother, guilt tripping was the number one tool that she used to gain control over you, right? So a lot of us have conditioned ourselves to not speak up and not say anything for fear of repercussions. And the repercussions being guilted or shamed when you speak up about something that you know deep down in your heart wasn't right. But this mother may have made you feel as if you had no right to say anything because she gave birth to you, or because she's the mother, this title, right? And then it, in turn, as you become an adult, it makes you feel guilty or make you feel bad. So you are reluctant to say anything when you're in these situations with other women as you get older. Another way you can replicate a relationship with your mom is by distorting your sense of self. Again, when we talk about having a narcissistic mother or an emotionally unavailable, withdrawn mother, oftentimes your sense of self is completely distorted. You define yourself more through other people's reflection of you versus your own. So are you loving on yourself? And do you have the trust and confidence to be who you are the way that you are, regardless of what people say or think? Regardless of whether or not they're going to gossip about you or say that you're crazy or say that you're weird or whatever it is that they say. Who cares? Does that feed you, clothe you, or provide you with shelter? No. Half the time it's not even true. Right? So you don't have this healthy connection to your core. Like, this is your inner belief. You're allowing someone else to project onto you what they're thinking and how they're feeling. And again, it's probably not even the truth, right? You define yourself more through others' reflection of you versus, oh, I read that part already. So you don't have a healthy connection to your core. You don't really know what your truth is. You often go into a lot of questioning, second guessing, and doubting yourself. That's very important to understand. Okay. Pardon me. Thirdly, you can replicate your relationship with your mother by being overly sensitive. How many of us are sensitive? You got yelled at when you were young, and you didn't even have to get a spanking or anything. If you just got yelled at, you started crying. Because the attack, especially if it was a narcissistic mother, the attack, you know, they say sticks and stones may break my bones, but words can hurt you. And words have a more long-lasting effect. Because at a certain point, you start to believe them, or they at least start to lower your self-esteem and your confidence. And then again, it breeds an environment of a lack of trust for other women as you get older. I remember when I was 18, and I'm not even going to sugarcoat what I used to say. I used to say, I don't like women because women are bitches and they spiteful and vengeful and mean. But it was based on what I experienced. And I said it just like that when I was 18. That's how I used to say it until I've gotten older and I realized it's not all women. And, now I understand that our thoughts become things. Again, it's the law of attraction, the universal law of attraction. Okay? Again, when we talk about having a narcissistic mother or an emotionally available withdrawn mother, oftentimes your sense of self is completely distorted. You define yourself more through other people's reflection of you versus your own. So you don't have healthy connections to your core. I've read that already. You don't have healthy connections to your core. You don't really know what your truth is. You often go into a lot of questioning, second guessing, and doubting yourself. Lack of trust and confidence for even yourself. Thirdly, you can replicate your relationship with your mother by being overly sensitive. So what can often happen is that your mom was overly sensitive because she was so out of balance, so she was eventually collapsing into her victimhood. If you have an emotionally unavailable mom, it can also be you are not welcome. Your sensitivity does not feel safe. So then what happens is you become what you might consider overly sensitive. Now, I never believe in that. I love highly sensitive women, but what we are looking at here is what you label yourself as. So this is the number 5 mommy issue. So basically, let's say, for example, you want to have, you call your mom or even a grandmother, right? And you ask for advice. And this person is so sensitive of themselves, they don't know how to give advice. So the next time you try to ask them for advice, you don't feel safe going to this person to ask for advice. And the cycle repeats itself. And then it's like, that person may even say to you, because it has been said to me, are you too sensitive? Really? Because I want advice from my mother? I'm too sensitive? Because I just want you to be my mom? Or my grandmother? And then sometimes people will even change the subject and make it about themselves, but they're not doing this intentionally sometimes. They don't know how to answer your question. They don't know how to give you advice. And they say things that make sense to them, but it may not make sense to you at all. Whether it's intentional or unintentional. They've formed this habit for so many years that sometimes they don't even realize they're doing it. And they don't realize that they could be pushing you away. Right? Number 2, not having many female friends. Mommy issue sign number 4 is not having many female friends, which I'm going to say take this with a grain of salt, because as we get older, we do have our own separate lives. So you may have friends, but you just don't talk to them often. It may be once every maybe 3 or 4 months, maybe even once or twice a year, right? They're married, they have their children, they have a regular schedule, routine that they follow. And so they may only have time to talk at night for a few minutes or on the weekends, because they have homework to do. They have to take the kids to and from different practices. Maybe they're into some type of spiritual practice on the weekends. And so that, people's lives are busy, right? So we'll take that with a grain of salt, because it may not be that these friends don't exist if you don't talk to them often. So there's a difference, right? But mommy issue sign number 4 is not having many female friends. So what that shows, one, is that you have learned that you can't trust women. You can't trust the feminine. Therefore, you don't have many female friends. This often can come from a place of jealousy. If you received any jealousy from your mom was jealous of you, or she didn't want you to have a good life. Maybe she told you you're not going to get this guy. You're not praying enough. You're not this enough, because she was secretly jealous of you. This often creates that very dysfunctional, unhealthy relationship with other women, because unconsciously you expect those other women to act like your mom. You may think that they are pretending to be a friend, but actually they're secretly jealous of you, and they're secretly trying to sabotage you. Now, again, you have to take this with a grain of salt, because you could really and truly be attracting women who are that way because you're feeling that. So whether or not it's perceived or actual reality, is something that you would have to discern and assess on your own. But this does, I've had women tell me that they were jealous of me. So I know that it exists. It's not just something that you make up. And then you may see those patterns and hear the things that people say that were similar to the things that your mom said to belittle you or make you feel like you weren't worthy or deserving of something or someone. Okay? Now that can show up is for, now how that can show up is, for example, if you are not really connected that consistently with your girlfriends. Maybe they are saying, hey, you reach out once a month or twice a month. What's happening? There's always this need for space, or you get busy, or you can't go that deep. So when you have a deep conversation with someone, you need so much space to recover from that. You almost have a little bit of a hangover, a vulnerability hangover from having to share something really vulnerable with your girlfriend, that you literally need space and you back off. So this is another sign that you don't trust women. You feel like your system is terrified and in a panic because it just revealed something vulnerable to another woman. Being a tomboy. Mommy issue number 3 is being a tomboy. Now look at what can happen in this whole process when there is so much wounding around connecting with the feminine, which of course was your mom. Your mom was the first female sample of humanity for you, so you project naturally onto every female the behavior of your mom. If you completely reject that feminine side, you become a tomboy. Now, becoming a tomboy can feel really safe. You're just kind of buddy-buddy, everything is cool, and there's also emotional unavailability, and there's a denial of the feminine. This is why you can have male friends and it mean absolutely nothing, whereas some women could never have a female friend. A male friend, unless he was, also into the same sex, without having some type of lust or attraction for this person. There's a denial of the softness, a denial of that gracefulness, that tenderness. It's more than just being cool with everything, almost being a little bit blander, a little bit more not too emotional here. So if you fall more into the tomboy category, chances are that you most likely have mommy issues, right? You're resisting, you're rejecting a part of what you see in your mom and that you see inside of yourself. So you're turning yourself into a tomboy. Tomboys also tend to be more of the avoidant side. They tend to need more space. They also tend to stay a little bit more on the surface. They don't go so deep. It's like guys, you're kind of buddy-buddy, but then it goes into some deep territory and psychological analysis, and we're not doing that as tomboys, right? Because you almost feel like you're one of the fellas, and to a certain extent. You know that you're a woman, you may be a feminine woman. That's not what I'm saying. But to a certain extent, again, if you've put this man in a box that he's just your friend, you feel like he's just your friend, like one of the guys. Although he may be attracted to you, he may say things, you may laugh it off or tell him to go somewhere, because you know you have no intentions of going there with him at all, right? If you want more support with this, I'd highly recommend our free Facebook dating support group. That's a whole nother story. I didn't realize that was going to come up. Number 4, difficulty establishing an emotional bond. Mommy issue sign number 2 is difficulty creating a healthy bond, actually seeing what the healthy markers of creating a healthy bond are. Part of that is actually attunement. So you can't even slow down with another person to attune to them to see. Do they need space? Do you need space? Are you actually able to receive from them? So maybe you're really good at sourcing yourself and connecting to yourself, but when it comes to allowing someone else to connect to you, maybe not so much. And you tend to be a little bit more on the avoidance side. Right? So maybe you're tapped in and tuned into other people where you can tell maybe this person needs space, right? But when it comes to you, you may or may not say you need space, or you may just avoid the situation altogether by distancing yourself or changing the subject, right? Oftentimes, this can make you feel numb. You can feel almost frozen inside of your system. It almost feels like, oh, I don't need anyone. I'm good. I'm so good. A lot of times people feel like that I don't need a man syndrome comes from, what is it called? Oh my goodness. It was just at the tip of my tongue. Not feminine, not, oh my goodness. I can't think of the term. How did it just go away? It's not femininity. Feminist. Okay. A lot of people think it comes from that feminist mindset, but not necessarily. She may have mommy issues, right? So she's saying she doesn't need anyone because she's afraid. She's afraid to get hurt. When deep down she really does need somebody, but she needs somebody to show up and show out in a way that she never received before. But she may not know how to ask for that because it's never been done. If your parents did not care for you, you sometimes grow up having doubts that anybody else will, right? So it's not always, oh, I don't need a man, I can take care of myself from a feminist perspective. It may be, I watched my mom who was single and independent and did everything for herself. So since she did everything for herself, that means I can do everything for myself. And if you weren't raised any different to see any different or know any different, you don't know any different. Right? You say, I can do it. Or I'll just pay somebody to do it. I'll make sure that I get this type of job making so and so amount of money to make sure that I can take care of this thing that I need to take care of. Right? I'm good, right? How about you? Do you need anything? Like this distortion that gives you that you give your power away on the one hand and pay attention, you attune to the other person, but you don't allow another person to attune to you. So basically, you may cater to a man or cater to your kids or even cater to your friends or even be a people pleaser. So you're paying attention to their feelings and emotions. If they, if they seem to need something, or if maybe you said something that didn't sit right with them, and you may apologize or fix it whatever way you do. But again, when they try to be there for you, you back away because you don't know how to receive it. And that's what it was asking earlier. Can you even receive? Do you know how to receive? And I would say for many people, the answer is no. There's this difficulty building this bond, sharing something vulnerable, being witnessed maybe in your sadness, maybe in some emotional state, whatever it is. And there's also an emotional distortion. So when you're avoidant, often when you hit either anger or sadness, you're not expressing that congruently. Instead, you laugh, you chuckle, you make fun of it. You're telling the world, please don't take me seriously. I don't take myself seriously. So of course, that's something to watch out for and hopefully heal. So I call it nervous and uncomfortable laughter. Like I said, instead of expressing your feelings, what you're thinking and how you feel, you avoid it. And you will have some people get mad at you, and you may not even understand why they're getting mad. They may think you're being condescending, and you're not being condescending at all. They're not trying to understand that. They've just already formed their own opinion, and they're going to base their opinion on whatever they've experienced. Because maybe they don't have mommy issues. And so they think they'll accuse you of laughing at them or being condescending or not taking the matter seriously. When it's not that you're not taking it seriously, you don't know how. But again, a lot of people don't get that. They don't understand that. Number 5, resenting men. At last, but certainly not least, mommy issue sign number 1 is you resent men. Isn't that interesting? Yes, it can happen that you resent women, and also you resent men. Now, this is when you actually observe that your mom was resenting men as well. If you feel your dad should have stepped up to the plate and he simply didn't, like he was emotionally unavailable, maybe that's why your mom was a single mom. We don't know exactly what happened by resenting, but resenting men is a really big thing. You're really resisting and pushing away any masculine support, any idea that the masculine could come and be your hero and protect you. All of those ideas you're completely resenting and pushing down because maybe you visualize what you saw in your mom. So much vulnerability and so much collapse, and also the coldness that came with that. Then you say, I don't want to be that. But because remember, whenever your mom was unstable emotionally, whenever she's unavailable, cold, narcissistic, a victim, all of that, you take that on into your dating life as well. So if your mom if you saw that your mom was going into this victimhood and she was helpless and powerless, and you're like, I don't like that at all, then you're going to end up really, really resenting men. So that's something to be aware of, right? Now, how do you know when you resent men? You like to punish them. You can almost cut them out of your life. You love to delete their phone number. You are in charge. You like to emasculate them so you can tell you take a little bit of joy in punishing men. That's how you really know that you're resenting men. You think there's something there that they should be punished for. You're setting them up for failure. You have all those rules and all those regulations and have them jump through all those hoops. In that case, I say it's a good sign that you are resenting men. Now, I could add to that, you may be unintentionally pushing them away by not saying how you feel or what you're thinking, not showing them affection. If they mistreat you, instead of you speaking your truth, you just push them away. Like they said, delete their phone number, and it's nothing. Mommy issues, signs, and females conclusions. So those are the top 5 mommy issue signs in females. Now, if you want to heal mommy issues, remember that I am a master certified life coach, and I can help you with those mommy issues and to get over some of those hurdles so you can have a happy life and healthy relationships, not just with men, but with women as well. So you can always inbox me, and we can do a discovery session. I am on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. Of course, you're watching this YouTube video. All right, I thank you for watching. If there are any other questions that I can answer for you, again, leave a comment, or again, feel free to inbox me, and I will get back to you usually within 24 hours. My name is Coach Brown, and I love y'all, and I wish you nothing but the best, and willfully you'll be able to heal and move on with your life in a very healthy